Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, everybody's talking about NFTs. What does it mean, and what is a revolutionary company here in Dallas doing to change the future? That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I have to confess, I am not a geek. I don't speak geek, and we're going to be talking about NFTs today, which I barely understand. But a man who knows a lot about it, Andrew Hopkins, he's the president of EvergreeNFT. Thanks for coming on the show.
Jeff, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this.
Well, first, tell us your background. How did you get to this point?
So, I've done a lot of different things in my career, but about a year ago, I left Accenture, a rather large consulting company, and ended up meeting up with an old friend of mine from 20 years ago who asked me to take a look at what he had built. And it is, in my career, the only technology I've looked at and said, oh, wow, that is fascinating, interesting, and the possibilities are endless. And so went from a company of 500,000 people to a company of 3.
Wow.
Yeah, having a great time. Loving it.
And you and I were talking before the show, and you came up with an analogy about a painting. Like if I bought a physical painting, I can take it with me. Would you?
Yeah. Let me step back just a second and explain how NFTs work today. And for NFTs, a non-fungible token, as I'm sure most people watching are. But if you think about the physical world today, you walk into a gallery, you find a picture that you like, you buy it, you walk out with your receipt or your proof of ownership, and you walk out with the painting that you can then hang on your wall. In a digital marketplace, let's say you go onto an NFT marketplace, and there are many of them out there, and you buy the NFT associated with the painting, for example, then you walk out of that marketplace with a token that says you own it. You don't walk out with the painting itself. That painting is essentially stored digitally somewhere else, and it's disconnected. So although you can claim bragging rights and you can tell everybody and prove that you own that particular painting, you don't really have any ownership rights over it. It's not as though you can say and display it as your own and nobody else can see it. So what we do is we actually store and secure digitally the painting itself. And we store it on its own blockchain, which as far as we can tell is very, very unique. And it means that we can not only give you the NFT from the marketplace of your choice, but we can actually give you the digital painting. It's a little bit like giving you a digital safety deposit box with your painting in it that you can take out, show people when you want to, and you can lock it away when you don't. But you have the rights to the painting as well as the NFT.
As you're explaining this to people, do you sometimes feel like Edison explaining a light bulb to people who only know kerosene?
Look, as I said, as far as I can tell, we're the only people who figured out how to write the digital content itself to a blockchain. So that's hurdle number 1, right? People don't think it's doable, but it is, if you think about blockchain a little differently. The second thing is in the process that we use, there is no mining. We can do everything without mining, and therefore it's a truly green process. Now, we can work with and support Ethereum-based marketplaces, but we don't have to. We could sit behind a fiat marketplace. And then the fact that we can distribute and move things around in a very decentralized manner, people start to roll their eyes at that point. So yeah, it's a little tricky to explain.
And do you feel like your industry appreciates what you've come up with?
The folks that we talk to tend to be the ones that are looking at how do we take this mainstream? Because there are some real challenges with NFTs. Look, NFTs are a great thing, right? They really are an opportunity for creators to reach out and sell and interact directly with their fans and their customers. But some of the flaws, and I just sort of mentioned a couple of them, we think are going to prevent it from going mainstream.
Right.
And just to try not to get too difficult about it, but if essentially the value of the NFT is associated with the token and not the underlying art, which is essentially what's happening here, then we think the market itself is somewhat possible to sort of look like a house of cards almost, because there's no underlying value of the artwork. It's just, how much can I sell this for?
Right.
There's a lot of speculation driving it. We want to achieve value in the artwork itself. And the NFT can absolutely be a transaction mechanism for us.
Absolutely. I think you're a genius, because I think it feels like the wild, wild west to those of us who don't speak geek. And it sounds like you're a sheriff coming in saying, we need some order here in order for this not to become chaos.
Well, yes and no, because a lot of what this market is about is decentralized and people being able to do peer-to-peer transactions. And we're completely in support of that. What we're trying to do is take real-world ownership rights and enforce them in the digital world. So if you own something in the physical world, it's sitting in the corner. In the digital world, it's a whole lot more difficult to enforce because it's on the internet. Anyone can do it, but they want with it. So we can prevent that from happening. I have people in the music industry that talk to us about this, and they say, well, you're a bit of a Napster killer 20 years too late, because we can actually secure the digital work, so that even if you try and download it and share it, the person to whom you share it won't have access to it.
Yes.
Because we can lock the work down in accordance with the rights granted by the creator.
Let me ask you this. Why hasn't somebody come up with this before you?
So people have been talking about the issue. I mean, there's a lot of press around why can't we write stuff to the blockchain? And the reason that we can do it is that we think about, let's talk about content or digital works or data broadly in a very different way. And the tech that this is pinned on has been around 20 years. My co-partner has patented this. The first version of this and proven version of this happened 20 years ago. And so the big difference now between now and 20 years is blockchain. We're not using blockchain for crypto processing, right? We're not creating tokens through blockchain. We are storing data, content data on a blockchain, and each work has its own individual blockchain. So our approach to blockchain is entirely different than, say, Ethereum.
Yes.
Right? So we are looking at blockchain as a storage mechanism and nothing more.
We've only got about a minute left. What final thoughts would you like to leave the audience with?
So, look, NFTs are a bit hyped at the moment, but there is real underpinning value. Because it does create that direct relationship between creators, and there's an enormous amount of value in that, and some wonderful success stories. What we think we do is take it to the next level. So we are taking ownership rights, royalty rights, and applying them beyond the NFT to the work, the underlying work itself. And we think it's one of the huge hurdles that we need to overcome to make NFTs actually work for the masses, if I can put it that way.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction. I will come back and look at this video 5 years from now saying I knew him win, because I really do see that you're seeing into the future and you're solving a problem that the industry doesn't even fully appreciate yet.
I think that's true. Having said that, I hope that if I do my job right, it's way less than 5 years.
There you go.
Jeff, thank you so much for having me. It's great fun.
We're going to end with your website, which is EvergreeNFT.com. Andrew Hopkins, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Jeff, thanks so much. Love that.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.